Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Eljay Johnsen Show. This show airs every single weekend, every Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you have any questions over the week, make sure to send them over to ljjohnson@gmail.com. And if you want updates and guest announcements every single Tuesday, head on over to Twitter at the Eljay Johnsen. Hashtag the Eljay Johnsen Show. That's enough Eljay Johnsons for this Eljay Johnsen week. Wait, nope. There'll probably be more at the end. Okay. So I am quite excited for my next guest. He is a man of many skills, the founder of ChileLUG, the head showrunner for R Bricks, as well as so much more that we're going to get into today. I'm of course talking about Christian Breinbauer. How you doing today?
Hello, LJ. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for being here and taking the time. I'm super excited to talk about your long resume of things. But let's kind of go ahead and get into it. Well, first of all, how have you been today? How are you enjoying the weather? Maybe.
Well, it's a nice winter day since we're on the opposite side of the planet.
Oh.
Uh, we're in the middle of the winter, which has been a pretty weird winter. So the very cold days are over, and now we're getting some more like springish days. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still a bit cool to wear shorts and tank tops.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for my summer.
Yeah, I'm a tad envious. I'm not gonna lie. I'm much more of a winter person, and this heat has been not my favorite thing.
We can trade anytime.
Oh, thank goodness. All right, in that case, if we could trade sooner rather than later, that'd be awesome.
Well, I'm going to New York on September, so I'm getting my summer a little earlier this year.
That's true. That's well. Is it
Yep.
later in September or earlier?
Actually, almost the whole September. I'm getting there on September 8th until the end of September.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're gonna get the
Pretty good.
tail end of summer, and then you're gonna get fall.
Yep,
Okay.
a little bit of both.
Fair
Yep.
enough. Fair enough. Well, I hope you enjoy. I've never been to New York, but I've heard a lot of things about it. I hear it's a concrete jungle.
Yep, but it's a city I really love. I used to live in the state of New York, in
Mm-hmm.
Westchester County when I was young, back in 1980 or so for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the city a lot of times. So I really have a special thing with New York City.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Mhm.
Do you have any place that you would recommend people visit or check out if they're there? Because I will eventually visit, but I don't know what I do.
Well, I'm going with my mother-in-law who has never gone to New York, so I'll have to do the Statue of Liberty again and the Empire State Building, etc.
Hmm.
And I want to see the new World Trade Center because
Oh,
I only knew the old one.
oh wow.
And I want to I want to visit the new Lego store, which is not new. It's like 2 or 3 or 4 years old already. The one by
Hmm.
the Flatron building, which I don't know. I only know the one right next to the Rockefeller Center.
Hmm.
So those places I think are two musts for a Lego fan.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I've obviously enough never been to any of those, but that's a good kind of starting list. And whenever I'm there next, I'll definitely have to check a lot of those places out.
Yep.
That's crazy. All right. In that case, let's go ahead and to get into the specifics, and I'm going to ask you basically the starting general question. How did you get into Lego and thereafter into the broader community?
Okay, so when I was a child, I used to play with building blocks, not specifically Lego, probably because here in Chile, we didn't get much Lego. And if you were able to see it in the market, it was really expensive. So mostly you will get it if you had a relative that came from Europe from visit and bring you one. So it wasn't that easy to get.
Hmm.
I'm talking around the early 80s or so. Uh, And as a child, I used to play a lot with jigsaw puzzles. That was like my thing,
Hmm.
building large jigsaw puzzles. And then we moved to the US, where I was overwhelmed with all these toy stores and the access to buy toys. So I spent my money buying lots of figures from the Thundercats, Transformers. Those were my main themes back then.
Hmm.
Uh, because I could find figures that we didn't get here in Chile are for like a tenth of the price. So it was crazy. I was a little old for to play when action figures. I was around 12 or 13, but I still I was amazed and spent most of my allowance on toys.
Hmm.
Then I continued playing with jigsaw puzzles, which was mainly my thing. And back on the 2006, um, my father died, so we moved with my mother to a smaller apartment
Hmm.
from the large house we used to live. And I was waiting for my apartment, which I bought, to be ready because we were building it. And I needed to build puzzles, but I like building, I don't know, 12,000 pieces puzzles. So I couldn't do that on the apartment. So at that point, since I was already working, I had my good income, and so I was at a toy store, and I found this. It was the Lego Imperial Star Destroyer, not the UCS, but
Hmm.
the large one. And I bought that, and I started buying some Lego Star Wars back then.
Okay.
And then I found on eBay the Death Star and some other things, and I was just hooked with the hobby and started with Lego Star Wars first, and then when I was done with the large chips, I kind of saw the model buildings
Hmm.
and started with that. And when I was done with that, I was like, okay, what's next? And then and well, yeah, it never ended.
Yeah, I can tell that it kind of went on from there. Okay.
So yeah, and then I was with the hobby, right? And I started finding, looking for on Facebook for other fans that like Lego here in Chile.
Hmm.
And I found a couple of guys, and we made a Facebook group. And then after a year or so of saying we should meet someday, we actually met and founded ChileLUG with four guys. That was Lucas and Miguel and Sergio. And and then we started talking about that someday we should have an event or whatever, etc. And we started having our monthly meetings. More people joined, so the group started to grow. And then somewhere along the line, I stumbled about the concept of Lego ambassadors.
Hmm.
And I was like, what was that? So I started reading on the internet, and I found that at that time in Latin America, there was only one ambassador, which was from Brazil. Um, and I contacted him, and he told me they were having an event on November that year. It was around August at the time. So I said, okay, I'll go there.
Hmm.
And I went there with my family, and I saw the event. It wasn't the huge event you see on internet on that you can see in the US or in Europe, etc.
Hmm.
But it was awesome. And then he gave me the email of the current community manager at the time, which was James Fowles, and I wrote to him, and we were recognized as a log, as a community. So and a couple of weeks or months later, James left the position, and then was when Kevin assumed the Americas, considering the United States and South America, which at that moment had us as logs, the Brazil group, and Peru was kind of forming. So I helped to contact them with Kevin, so they were recognized pretty soon.
Wow.
And that's how ChileLUG was mainly born and recognized.
Wow. My goodness, that's a fantastic story.
So because yeah, in the US, you can see the log map, and I don't know, they're like 100, 200, 300 communities.
Oh yeah.
I don't really count them. So it may be very easy to find a group relatively nearby, or to contact them, or to get information. Back at that time, there wasn't much information to actually become a recognized log, so it was a real ordeal to do so. So that's why at that moment I started contacting different Facebook groups from, I don't know, Panama, Guatemala, Costa Rica, Peru, Colombia, and started giving them information, because they were already building their groups, but they didn't know about all these Lego Ambassador Network groups. So that was really fun.
Wow. Okay, so so to kind of almost recap that, it started out, building, like enjoying puzzles and enjoying building, and now it has spawned into founding a community in Southern America to help fans of Lego kind of come together and enjoy the hobby as well.
Yep.
That's impressive. That's it's just I'm obviously enough, I'm very familiar with a lot of lug activities in the States, but still, it's always incredible to hear how that comes about.
Well, because we kind of started with a new beginning where there was like nothing here. So we had to start from scratch, having no reference logs nearby to see what they do, what they don't do. So it was kind of difficult, but at the same time fun, because we had a clean slate, and we could do whatever we wanted. So that was fun. And parallel to that, I started a blog, writing a blog, which was called at the time Revista Bricks, which means Bricks Magazine, because I always like reading actual paper magazines. So I always dreamed of starting with a online blog, and at some point actually become a printed magazine. Like at that time, I knew about the Brick Journal, which I love. It's an amazing job. So I kind of, at that moment, dreamed about having something maybe not as good as, because that's those guys do a really awesome job, but something similar in Spanish for the Latin American community. So I started the blog, but at the time went by, and writing the blog became kind of boring, especially because you don't get the dynamic interaction with fans. You don't get so many comments. So you get the visits, but it was like, that's it. So I knew people were reading it, but I wasn't getting interaction with people. So it wasn't that much fun in that way. So, and last year, when I went to the Registered Lego Fan Media Days, I was still called Revista Bricks. I met the guys from Beyond the Brick, Joshua and John, if I'm right.
Yep, no, that's them. They're great.
Yep, and I saw the way they were making videos, and that looked fun. And So when I came back to Chile when from my trip to Denmark, I started shooting some videos
Mm-hmm.
using first I noticed my computer had a camera, so I said, well, let's try using that and the movie editor in my computer, and then using my phone and see how it worked. And it was fun doing it. And I started posting on YouTube, and I started getting some comments. So I got, obviously I was starting kind of from scratch from where my blog was, but I was getting some reaction from the community that was more motivating. So I'd rather have, I don't know, 50 or 100 views rather than 1,000 visits with no comments.
Mm-hmm.
So I switched to videos. I haven't written on my blog for over a year now,
Mm-hmm.
and kept doing that work, mainly at home. And it was fun. And sometime at the end of last year, I was contacted by a producer company here in Chile, which is Fábrica de Medios, FDM, or Media Factory. And they really liked the concept I was working, so they offered to help me out. So and now we shoot 1 day a week over there, and we shoot three blocks of the show every week. And at that time, I was at a crossroad because my online community was, or registered legal fan media was
Mm-hmm.
called Revista Bricks, which, as I mentioned, means magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But I was definitely not going to be a printed magazine ever.
Yeah.
I never got there.
Mm-hmm.
So and I was switching to videos on YouTube, so it kind of sounded weird to be called Revista Bricks. And the logo I had at the time, I didn't like much because it was a cheap logo that I somebody made for me at some point, and it worked. It served its purpose. So at that time, at the end of last year, a friend of all of us, Mr. Kevin Hinkle,
Mm-hmm.
left the Lego group, and he started doing been doing independent artwork. So I talked to him, and he helped me out with the logo. So the logo from Our Bricks, my YouTube channel, is actually Kevin Hinkle's work.
Oh.
So and he threw me some ideas and some concepts, and when I was looking at the logos with the word Revista Bricks, I was like, but this is never going to be a Revista. So we decided to go with just Our Bricks, and that's why it's now called just Our Bricks, because I just chopped the name so it didn't make noise to the audience that it's called a magazine when it's not a magazine. And I
Okay.
think Kevin did a great job with the logo. Uh, he he, um, he proposed like 5 or 6 awesome ideas, but we went with the actual one, which
Mm-hmm.
has worked pretty good, pretty well, and I'm pretty satisfied with the concept. So when I was ready with the logo, we started shooting at Fabrica de Medios at FDM the videos on March this year. And since they help me with all the post production thing, like video editing and shooting the videos, etc., I can focus on actually creating the content of the videos.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been really helpful, and it has helped me to improve the content of the video because I can actually focus on what I need to focus on.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was the high production value and of the actual videos, because when I was watching them, whenever I think about how other Lego creators make their videos in this style, I think of it in a very rudimentary way. It's a desk in a room in a house somewhere, and it's kind of made kind of workshopped to look like a studio, but you actually travel to a studio to film this.
Yep.
And I
Yep, I
think
know.
that's really impressive. Now, how do you get the material to shoot the show and other videos such as the Ghostbusters review or the speed builds? Do those come from Lego, or do you manage to acquire those in Chile?
A little bit of A and B. I am Since I'm a registered Lego fan community, I get support from the Lego group.
Mhm.
So I get some sets throughout the year and some special offers to do some reviews. For instance, they offered me the James Bond car like a month ago. So I actually had the James Bond video ready for the day it launched.
Mhm.
So I had an embargo date and I could go live right at the moment when the store opened on London when where they launched the car.
Mhm.
So that was pretty awesome. And some other sets I have, the Ghostbusters set was given me through support too last year,
Mhm.
but and I just remade the video because I did a review last year on my blog, but I thought it was pretty cool to do an actual video because you can obviously see more features. So
Mhm.
I kind of do reviews from new things, and I try to look for good old things too, because sometimes some sets are pretty good, and you need to relive the experience or bring the topic. Or sometimes I get to review a whole line, etc. And I do whatever it comes to mind.
Mhm. That's understandable. I definitely I'm familiar with going back and reviewing older sets, so I
Yep.
I understand how much fun that can be a lot of the time.
Hmm.
So
And
yes,
I'm sorry.
no, no, please
And
continue.
some sets I obviously buy for myself. Especially I have the fortune that I try to travel to the US once a year.
Hmm.
So there I buy some sets because over here in Chile they're way more expensive.
Hmm.
Even though we're not as expensive as some other places in South America, we only get twice the price you'll see in the US.
Oh my goodness.
But if you go to Brazil, you can even see four times the
Oh
price,
my goodness.
the US price. That is if you find the set, because they don't get everything. We get, I would say, like 95% of the stuff.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, sometimes we don't get it right away. We have to wait a couple of months to get some stuff.
Hmm.
But and I do buy some things. I know that people. We don't have an actual. We have a third party that sells Lego, which were called Lego monobrand stores at the time.
Hmm.
They're not actual Lego brand retail stores, and they're in the process of being a Lego certified store, which will mean that we will get things like pick a brick wall, which we don't have at the time.
Hmm.
And we hope that the prices will go a little lower, but we will never get as low as the US. The
Right.
market over there is too much competitive, and we are a really small market.
I see. Oh my goodness. So you wouldn't say that accessibility to Lego in general has improved since the 80s, or would you say that it's come up in some ways, but
Oh, yeah, no, it has changed exponentially.
oh, okay.
Uh, also, back in the 80s, you wouldn't find Lego sets anywhere here,
Hmm.
or they were just impossible to buy. Right now, we have in Santiago, which is the capital of the Chile,
Hmm.
we have, let's say, one, two, three, four, five Lego stores in just one city,
Oh wow.
which is a lot. Um, but they're, as I said, they look like Lego stores. They smell like Lego stores, but they're not Lego store because we don't have pick a brick, we don't have build a minifigure, and
Hmm.
we don't get all the cool stuff. We just get sets.
Hmm.
So
No,
That's
I understand. I can be with you in solidarity here. Idaho does not have a Lego store in the entire state, so which, to be fair, though, is much different than a whole country. So that is
well, but
that
at
is
least you
fair.
have Shop Online.
Yeah, okay, that's true. That is fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you
because the LegoShop.com doesn't ship overseas. So
really there's no way
yep,
for it to come to Chile.
no, they don't ship overseas, and they used to ship to third-party forwarders, which were like you can have a PO box or something,
Mm-hmm.
and they will forward you the stuff. But they shut down that like 3 years ago. So I used to buy things to get the I don't know, the Star Wars minifigure for the May the 4th be with you day
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. And now we don't have access to that either. So
Oh
that's kind
gosh,
of boring.
dang.
Yeah.
Oh, interest. So that's kind of interesting to hear. The not only the accessibility but how it has changed because I've in the United States, if a store sells any kind of toy in any regard, chances are Lego is there in some capacity. So
Hmm.
that's very interesting to hear. I know that there are other areas of Latin America that have also been getting incremental accessibility to Lego. I think an actual Lego store is opening up in, I want to say, Mexico City. I want to say that was the recent one, but obviously that's a
Yep.
little bit further up.
Yep. But those are certified stores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're not actual property of the Lego group, but rather they buy the license and they're certified. So they get some stuff like pick a brick wall,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't get the special promotions that are mentioned in the actual Lego page or the VIP points, for example. They
Mm-hmm.
don't get that either.
I see.
So there's they get more stuff, but yeah, it's not everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
but we do get to buy through Bricklink. We buy
Okay.
that
Thank
a lot.
goodness.
So, but again, it takes like I don't know. Sometimes you buy something, and if you're lucky, you can get it 2 weeks later.
Oh man.
And but most of the time, it takes like 2 months to get. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really boring because you're starting your mock and you're like halfway there. You order the
Oh
pieces and you get them 2 or 3 months later, and you're like, what was I building?
no. Oh no.
Or you change
Oh.
your idea. I like building large buildings, large scale.
Mm-hmm.
So it has happened to me many times that I buy like, I don't know, the 400 pieces I need or the 300, etc. Of the same brick. And when I get the pieces, I'm like, I have a better idea to solve this, so I don't need these pieces anymore.
Oh
So I have
no.
to reorder. So, but the good thing is you can always reuse the pieces for something else.
That's true.
It's not that's all. And we do get log bulk.
Okay.
That's that's something. It was hard on the beginning because we when we started the log thing, Brazil they used to buy a log bulk, but they bought it through Germany because
Mm-hmm.
they had a friend over there, so they had it shipped to Germany. So when we became ChileLUG, I started saying, okay, so why don't we get our log bulk? And at the first years, we didn't get log bulk.
Mm-hmm.
And it was until I met Kevin on Brazil
Mm-hmm.
for it. That was, I think it was on 2012. And he actually, I think he helped us out with log bulk, or it was the year before. I really can't remember right now. But
Mm-hmm.
he helped us a lot through that. And the first year we got log bulk to Chile. That was the first time a log bulk came a thing here in Latin America, right straight from Denmark to Chile.
Wow.
So, and that first year, the guys from Peru tag along with in our logbook, and the process was really smooth. So the next year, it was much easier because they send us our bulk, and right now they're getting throughout Latin America, in Colombia, Peru, they're getting their logbooks
That's
right now
crazy. So you guys kind of pioneered the way
in
toward
many
getting
ways.
lug bulk in Latin
Yeah.
America. Wow,
Yep.
that's crazy. Now,
That was
for
us.
anyone that I know what lug bulk is, but for anyone who may be unfamiliar, would you briefly go over what the lug bulk is?
Sure. Logbulk is an awesome benefit that the Lego Group gives to recognize communities to logs and register Lego media. They can also access to Logbulk, where once a year they can buy loose pieces in bulk quantities. That's large quantities. I don't know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 of the same piece. And there's some restrictions. You can only buy 85 different elements, being that every shape and color that defines one element. So if you have the same piece in two colors, that's two elements.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really buy at a really good price and quantities pieces. So when you see these large castles or um, displays at a Lego event, they're probably made through thanks to log bulk, because they use, I don't know, 1,000 2x1 gray bricks, and there's no way you can buy like 10 and 10 100 I don't know, Lego sets where you get only two of those pieces. So
Yeah.
it's the only way. Well, pick a brick, it's another way, but you don't get all the pieces through pick a brick.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a very limited selection. But yeah, no. All right. Thank you for kind of explaining that for anyone who may be unfamiliar. I'm gonna go ahead and take this opportunity and remind everyone that if you have a question for Christian, go ahead and send that in now. You can either send that through Twitter at the LJ Johnson hashtag the LJ Johnson Show, or you can go ahead and ask right now in the live YouTube chat. So go ahead, ask away anything that comes to mind, and we will get to that before the end of the show. Now, being being a member, a founder of ChileLUG, what are some of the responsibilities that you find yourself that you kind of take care of, maybe day to day, maybe however long it whenever it needs it, and maybe some stuff that you didn't anticipate before founding the lug?
Well, I didn't anticipate anything because I didn't have anything to compare or anything as an experience before.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was new. And but I always thought that my most important job was to inspire people to build. So and that has gone pretty well. We have some awesome builders in our lug. Last year, when the Lego house opened, they offered lugs throughout the world to send some let me to propose which AFOLs from each lug could do something, an awesome build that could be displayed on the Lego house. So I talked to one of my guys in the lug, and he sent some ideas, and he actually got 3 mocks to be displayed on the Lego house this year. I mean last year for the opening,
Mm-hmm.
and those displays last 1 year, and they will be taken down. I think at the end of September when the year ends.
Mm-hmm.
And this year the Lego house opened the same contest, and this year 4 of our guys got to get their mocks to the Lego house.
Wow.
So 4 guys, 5 mocks. One of them got two things to be displayed at the Lego house with Luis.
That's incredible.
And Yeah, and I think that's really awesome because we're literally at the end of the world. If you see the map, and to be able to get all the way over there and have our mocks displayed, that it's just an honor. We have I know I have pretty cool builders here in our log, and sometimes we don't get the enough access to pieces, which is really boring. So that's why my first job or I don't or goal was to get Logbook working, because it was something that existed, and we were and we could really use it, and it actually has been very useful.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
Evidently, I think it speaks for itself, given that several of the builders have been able to showcase things at the designated Lego house, and
yep.
I can only imagine how gratifying and, as you said, an honor that is to have models displayed there.
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know what challenges. Well, when you work with people, of course, you'll have problems between people. So, but I think we have a very good group. We've become very good friends. We're very different in our personal lives from a age range. I don't know. Maybe the youngest one, it's like 15, and I'm not going to say the oldest one because I think that's me.
Don't worry, 15 at heart.
Yeah, but we have a really great group. We talk through instant message throughout the day. We tell jokes, so we've become much more than just Lego fans that build. So that's pretty cool. And what I like the most about our group is that since we don't have that access to just go to a Lego store and go to the pick a brick wall or wherever, sometimes when you're building a mock and you need some pieces, you go like, hey guys, I need these pieces. And hey, I got 2 of them, I got 3, I got 4. And you get the pieces and you can finish your mock. So that's pretty awesome to have some good friends that work that way.
That makes a lot of sense. That way you guys are all kind of working together toward a common goal, a project, or anything. That's wonderful. And did you ever kind of see this happening? If someone had told you maybe 10, 20 or so years ago, one day you're going to found ChileLUG and get to this point, did you ever think that would happen?
No. No, I would never. Even though when I recap my life, when I was school, I used to be a class president, and I always tend to be and to end up being a leader, you may say. But I would have never thought of founding a Lego fan club. So that was kind of unexpected. And well, I didn't found it myself. We were 4 at the beginning, and you can found a club if you have more people around it. But yeah, I kind of moved things so they can actually got to be a thing, like when with our Brickfest, because everyone was like, yeah, we should have like a Lego fan event. We should. And I was like, okay, we will. So I went and got our first venue, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. If I'm the only crazy guy with a table with some mocks on it and some Lego sets, I'm going to have fun. And started building the event. And that year I had 20 crazy AFOLs that came along and showed their mocks and Lego sets. The next year we had a little bit more, and every year we have been growing bigger. And that was our first Brickfest Chile, which is our largest Lego fan event here in Chile.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, last year, up until last year, we used to have it for just one day. But last year, we had 5,000 visitors in one day in a relatively small place.
Wow.
So we just had to move this year. And this year, we did it for 2 days
Mm-hmm.
in one of the largest venues here in Santiago, where you can hold events like Comic-Con or other huge events.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually got the place, and we got 10,000 people this year. So
Wow.
that was pretty cool. And we're pretty happy about it. So we're already working for Brickfest Chile in 2019, which will be our seventh Brickfest.
Wow, that's incredible. And I'm looking at it on the Lego Ambassador Network website. And yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned here is June 2nd to the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was this year. Yeah,
That's
we haven't
impressive.
posted next year's.
Okay. And that's flooring to me. That is something I wanted to also discuss briefly. Although I think there's a lot more. I don't think it can be discussed briefly. Because I had heard that you had been involved in creating, Brickfest Chile, and to hear that, like, those numbers, those are easily comparable to something like Brick World Chicago or Brick Fair Virginia, which are the larger ones in the United States. And tell me a little bit about that experience and seeing that grow and starting that process.
It just, if I have to use one word, it's just amazing. Um, because I I went to college, I went to university, I studied, but I studied something completely different, which is a medical doctor. I'm an orthopedic surgeon.
Mhm.
So being able to go from one completely different place and go to just host an event this large and have everything work, it's just like a personal accomplishment that makes me really proud.
Mhm.
Um, I have when I did the first event, I had no idea how to do it. So I just started doing things like I thought they were supposed to be done, and learned with every event, and keep doing it, and seeing the problems and finding a solution, which is mostly what's building with Lego is. You face a problem and you see the pieces, which are the material, but you have to find your own solution, which will end up being your mock.
Mhm. That makes a lot of sense. And very briefly, and you kind of mentioned it in passing, but this is something that when I heard about it, it just absolutely floored me that you are an orthopedic surgeon. So,
Yep.
my apologies. The first thought that came to my mind is you must be really good at sticker placement when it comes to Lego sets, because I imagine you have to have a very steady hand.
Actually, I hate stickers on Lego sets, and I try not to put them when I don't have to. Well, when I get a Lego set from the Lego group that I have to do a review, I of course place them. But since it's something that I really don't like, I try doing my best, but I just place them. My daughter, my older daughter, who is 6, she loves placing the stickers. So many times I will let her do the sticker work.
That makes sense.
So,
That's fair.
and and when I see her, I understand why all these Lego friend sets come with so many stickers, because she actually loves placing stickers.
Huh. I
So
personally have not picked up a Lego Friends set, so I have no frame of reference for that. But I didn't know that they came with a lot of stickers.
yep, they came with a lot of stickers, and the little girls are maybe the reason for it. I don't have an actual fact about it.
Yeah.
It's just my impression, but it makes a lot of sense.
Interesting. Well, in that case, that gives me
And the
only.
Lego group does not do a thing randomly.
Yeah.
If they
Oh,
do
yeah.
something, it's because it is that way.
Yeah. No, they're very exacting when it comes to all these different processes. But unfortunately, that's another reason why I'm probably not going to pick up a Lego Friends set because I'm with you. I despise stickers.
Yeah, but they have all these cool colors that you must have. You
Yeah.
can toss the mini dolls aside and and keep the pieces, and the bricks are just awesome.
Yeah. No, that is fair. That is perfectly fair. But
And for me, it's pretty useful because she knows exactly which are my Lego sets, my bricks, and that she can touch when I'm around. But when she wants to play and destroy or redesign or whatever, she can use the Lego friend line because those are hers. So it's pretty useful.
that's great. That's perfect.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I very briefly wanted to mention that because like yeah, I could only imagine very very carefully with the sticker, just like well, I can't imagine it's anything like doing surgery. No frame of reference there, but I digress. But but back to Brickfest. So
Yep.
what has been the greatest challenge toward making it as successful as it has been and bringing it kind of more attention, a larger venue, and so on.
Well, the largest challenge, I think, it is to motivate people, to inspire them, and to have them interested because you're asking all these Lego fans to just go there to the event, to stand there to show their work and have fun with it
Mm-hmm.
while they can stay at their house and do something else. So being able to to inspire them, I think it's the largest, it's the hardest things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're doing that pretty well because every year we get more and more Lego fans that say, "Hey, I have all these Lego things at my home. I would like to show to the other people." So next year, sure, and we're always open to have more and more Lego fans. We don't our event. It's not even though it's organized by ChileLUG and our bricks, it's not exclusively for them. So we get Lego fans from all over Chile
Mm-hmm.
and some places else because this year we had the visit from Mexico. Our friend Alfonso Garay came from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
He used to live here in Chile. He's from Mexico, but he used to study here, and he was a member of our lug back then. And when he moved to Mexico, he was like, "I miss you so much, guys. I don't have a log here." And I was like, "Why didn't you found a log? You can start. You can start. I don't know, a Facebook group and start searching for people." And he did, and eventually they became the first recognized community in Mexico. So that was
Wow,
pretty awesome too.
that's incredible, man. That's fascinating because I'm familiar with lugs, but non-physical ones, and I assume ChileLUG and the aforementioned one that you just discussed,
Hmm.
they're physical lugs. They're people in one
Yep.
singular place,
Hmm.
and that's definitely something that I want to delve more into because the lug that I'm familiar with is digital. It's completely non-physical. Meetups are
Hmm.
maybe once, twice, three times a year. So
Hmm.
to hear about the success of creating a physical lug in a place where maybe Lego doesn't recognize that maybe to them it's not a larger market, but to hear these groups of people successfully creating these Lego user groups, it's always unbelievably impressive. It's really it's great.
Well, and it's also satisfying in a way that you find out that you're not. the only crazy one around that's it's playing with toys and at your age. So it's pretty satisfying.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. All right.
You're not
Hmm.
you're not the crazy Lego guy.
Yeah. Well, there he goes again. He's got more Lego. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I can understand. But okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start kind of wrapping up here, but we do have a few questions. I do really
Sure.
quickly want to get a few rudimentary ones out of the way. Do you have a favorite Lego set?
Favorite Lego set. I have one that I've always wanted,
Mhm.
which is the Millennium Falcon UCS,
Ah,
and
yes.
and I have a story about it because when I started playing with Lego, as I mentioned, I started with Lego Star Wars,
Hmm.
and one of the first sets I bought online through eBay was the Millennium Falcon. And when I went on searching, I saw two Millennium Falcons, one which was $500 and the other was 150. So I said, why will somebody pay for the same thing like three times the price? So I obviously bought the one that costed just $150. And at that time, I didn't know what an UCS was,
Hmm.
and, and neither what the Millennium Falcon was. But the years came by, and I came across and knew what the UCS was, and at that point it was like $2,000 or so. So
Oh
there
yeah.
was no point on buying that. And then and that's a set I always wanted to build, but right now I have my house so full of Lego, I have no place to put things. So when the new Millennium Falcon came, I was like, it's like my second chance, but where would I put it? So when
Yeah.
I went to Miami last year, I went on September. So it was when it was just released, the Millennium Falcon, and I actually was happy that it was already sold out
Hmm.
because it was like a sign that life was telling me, no, you shouldn't have it. So I would love to build it sometime.
Hmm.
I think it's a lot of money for a Lego set just to have it sitting around.
Hmm.
So because I would hate to tear it apart and use the pieces for something else because it's so much money.
Yeah.
And but at the same at the same time, I wouldn't know what to do with it because I have in one storage room the Superstar Destroyer, which it's like, I think I use meters, so I'm not familiar with the feet, but I think it's like 4 feet long,
Hmm.
and it's really tough to keep it. So having that huge monstrous thing lying around, it would be just annoying. So I don't think I'll ever have the UCS Millennium Falcon.
That's understandable. I mean, your thought process definitely makes a lot of sense. I'm not too
Hmm.
personally invested in the Star Wars theme generally, and although the Millennium Falcon is just unbelievably impressive, I can't help but agree. I don't know what I would do with it outside of
Yep.
display. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Hmm.
now we have quite a few questions from listeners. And let's go ahead and go through these. We actually have three from Happy Brick 1985. And their questions are as follows. First, thoughts on Lego video games?
I love Lego video games. Actually, right now, since the Lego hobby takes up most of my free time, which is actually a lot, but it takes most of the times. I don't have much time to play video games, but I do have a Nintendo Switch because I'm a Nintendo guy, and I bought it just because one game, which is The Legend of Zelda, the Breath of the Wild,
Mm-hmm.
which is The Legend of Zelda is my favorite video game thing. But the other video games that I actually play are the Lego games. So the last video game I'm playing is the Incredibles 2, like the Lego Incredibles 2 video game.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I really like them because you get to collect all these minifigures that you can't actually collect them in real life,
Mm-hmm.
and you get to see some cool builds throughout the game, and you can get some ideas. And I think they're really fun, and they always stay fresh and offered a new way to play, even though there's some similarities between every single one. But I really like them.
Mm-hmm. That yeah, no, I can't help but agree. Have you tried Lego Worlds yet?
No, no, I haven't played Lego Worlds.
Okay, all right. I recommend it. It's kind of like if they took
I think it's
Minecraft and just made it
yeah,
all Lego.
yeah. I had that thought. So since I don't have too much time to play with video games,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of prefer a video game that I can actually finish at
Yeah,
some point
that makes a
than
lot of sense.
actually have it. So I did play some Lego Dimensions,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't finish the main storyline. I got distracted by all these side quests and side worlds, and it was just too crazy buying all these minifigures to open new worlds. So at some time, I said it's enough.
Yep, yep, that makes a lot of sense. Now, real briefly, we do actually have a comment that isn't a question, but more commentary from. I don't know. I feel like we may be familiar with this gentleman named Kevin A. Hinkle, and he
Yep.
wanted to chime in and mention Christian has good taste in gaming. So I
Yeah, it's because of the Legend of Zelda.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done with Breath of the Wild. I just uh, it's not a game I'm used to playing, but I'm getting there. But
Mhm.
all
Well,
right.
actually, Kevin sent me when Kevin came to Chile for an event we had on 2013. No, that is could be. No, it was 3 years ago. It was 2015.
Mhm.
He came to Chile, so we had a great time. So I really hope he could visit. I want to go and visit him when I go to New York this year. And he's been he's been a really inspiring person in my life, I must say, since he's listening. I'm going to say because when I started the Lego hobby, it was just that the Lego hobby, and we started our community. But when I met him, I really understood all this sense of community
Mhm.
and being able to interact with different people, and which is awesome. And right now, I'm sitting here in Santiago, talking with you in Idaho, which we will have never met
Yeah.
probably if it wasn't because Kevin mentioned you that I existed. So I think what he does is just awesome.
Mhm.
So thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
And
No, I
actually, did you hear about the building buddies competition for the Lego Movie?
building buddies. I no, I didn't.
Okay, well, you can Google it.
Okay.
There was this contest that you can have a building buddy, and if you won, you could actually be appear on the credits for on the Lego Movie 2. And Kevin was my building buddy, but we didn't win the contest. But
Oh
we
dang.
had tons of fun. We built a secret project that someday we'll use to conquer the world.
Okay, I'm seeing that here now. Oh man, interesting. I had not heard about this. Huh.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool contest where you had to match up with a building buddy. So we decided to make it easier. And me being here in Chile and he in Connecticut, and I built half of it here. He built half of it over there. We kind of merged it somehow, and actually made a picture of us holding the mug. So it was really a really fun to do.
Oh,
So
that sounds like a blast.
yeah,
Oh my
it was really
goodness.
fun.
Oh, that sounds crazy. We actually, Kevin, on the subject of him, he does have a question, and I will be getting to that one very soon. And I'm just going down the list. We do have some more. Um, Another one from Happy Brick is: Do you think it's a good? I believe they meant. Do you think it's good to be part of a lug?
Absolutely. Well, it's probably not for everyone. I'm pretty sure about it, but it helps you understand the Lego hobby in a different way. That you not only connect pieces, but you connect people. You you can learn tons of things from other builders, like techniques, ideas, concepts. We usually with our friends in our log, when we are building a mock, and sometimes we are stuck, we can't find a solution, so we discuss it with the other guys, and they will say, you can use this, you can use this technique, or why don't you use this piece instead, or why don't you do that? And that's pretty cool. That's from the technical point of view. And from the personal point of view, it's a great way to make friends that like same things that you do. So I see a win-win from every point of view.
Yeah. No, I can't help but kind of agree with that. Definitely being part of a lug, that generally sums it up. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Their last question was, do you know about Lego Galador?
Yes, I know what Lego Galidor was. I've never had a Lego Galidor figure on in my hands because I think they were released. I don't know exactly the year, but it was before I got into the Lego hobby as hard as I do now. So I never saw them on shelves or sale. I probably seen them through secondary markets like eBay or Bricklink or whatever. I've seen some posts on the internet, especially Kevin Kinkle, who has been posting for the last days on Instagram some Galidor figures. I don't really like them because uh, they don't look like Lego to me.
Mhm.
And since I didn't play them with them at the time, of course, I don't have this nostalgic feeling around them. So I don't like them, but it's fine if some people like them.
Yeah, that's a
So,
pretty fair assessment, I'd say.
and I know it's a very uh, big thing throughout the fan community. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the minifigure from the Ninjago city set with a Galidor T-shirt. So
Hmm.
it's an important thing in the Lego history. Not something that I would buy, but it's part of the deal.
No,
Like
it's
Click It or some other themes that has gone by and nobody knows about.
yeah, no, it's definitely grown very recently, a bit of a following as of late, but it's a different theme, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I don't
yes.
like much Bionicle either. So,
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, I'm sorry,
but
man, but
the guy,
I do.
but I have to say that the guys that build with the, I call them Bionicle pieces. I'm not really familiarized with the actual name of them,
Mhm.
but you can see these huge, sometimes dragons or whatever, and they build just some awesome builds.
Mhm.
We have a Bionicle theme log here in Chile.
Really?
They're called ChileLUG, and they always show their stuff on our breakfast. And they do some cool things. They have all these creatures whose name I will never know, but and some of the guys have built these huge dragons and robots and things, and they're really nice to look at.
Hmm.
So
Oh yeah.
they're impressive. Yeah.
No, I think that some of the stuff that people do with the term I always gravitate toward, and a lot of people in that kind of section of the community use is construction for constructible action figure. Um, it's incredibly impressive. Like as many unbelievable system creations I've seen just as many unbelievably impressive construction creations. And it's always fun to see the ways that people use different pieces in new and fascinating ways.
Hmm. Well, it's like Lego Technic. I don't like building Technic.
Hmm.
I don't like things to build things that move, especially when are building the sets that have all this structure made with Technic pieces. They're kind of boring to me.
Hmm.
But when I get to see at an event things like GDC or these awesome trucks or whatever, they're just awesome. So it's good that there are people that like to build them, so you can get to see them.
Hmm.
But not every Lego theme is for everyone.
That's true, and that actually that's kind of an interesting way to bridge into this next question. And this one is from Frody96, and their question is, what Lego themes would you like to see, new or returning ones, and what is/was your favorite Lego theme?
Returning Lego theme. Hmm. Well, my favorite for many years was Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but after a while, since I built most of the iconic sets, the Millennium Falcon, the Slave One, the Death Star, um, it kind of, okay, I already built them all, so, and the new movies don't have the same feeling as the original trilogy, so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I kind of stopped buying Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but having a returning, well, I think the castle themes are really awesome. I have a couple of castles that I would like to expand at some point because I don't have much medieval theme Lego sets and builds. But that could be really interesting to have new castles going around or new ships. They're so cool,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones from the Pirates of the Caribbean. So I actually expect when the new movie, I think next year,
Mm-hmm.
we're
Yep.
having Pirates 5. I really hope we finally get the Flying Dutchman set because I think that ship is missing in my collection. I have
Oh,
the how do you call it, the Black Pearl.
yeah.
I have the one from the last movie, the one Marcos Besa designed, the one that's how do you,
Oh gosh, what's the
it's the
name?
Silent Mary
Oh, that was
and the Queen Anne's Revenge, which is from the third movie, I think.
it. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really missing the Flying Dutchman. That said, I really would like to see it made.
Okay, I feel that's reasonable. I did they ever make a Lego Flying Dutchman? Because I know I've seen it from other.
No,
Uh,
no, no, they didn't. They just went from the Black Pearl, then they went to Queen Anne's Revenge when they did the third movie, and the Silent Mary when they did the last movie, which was that was the fifth movie, I think. So we're expecting the sixth movie next year or so.
okay, yeah, no, I on a whim I looked it up, and Brick
And
said they have a. Oh
I
yes.
I would really like them to have it as a Lego theme and not through Lego ideas because I really don't like when the Lego idea sets are like a franchise or a third-party IP because I think it's not the real concept behind Lego Ideas. So I wouldn't like to have a Flying Dutchman through Lego Ideas, and they probably wouldn't do it anyway. So
Yeah, no, I've actually heard that quite a bit. Someone I know is quite critical of Lego Ideas submissions that are from a franchise, very specifically Star Wars, which seems a little perplexing as to why anyone would try to submit a Star Wars set through Ideas, because
yeah,
they already have a very large theme for it. So, but
it's just a waste of time.
yeah,
They will never do it. So
yeah, I think they even have a provision in their rules that states, hey, you can't. Nothing that we are currently working on is going to
yeah,
become a new product through Ideas. So you shouldn't even bother. Do something different.
exactly. But they did that like last year, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing
Yeah,
something pretty recently.
yeah, it's pretty recently. Yeah.
Yeah, but real briefly, I went ahead and I looked it up on Brickset. I just typed in like the Flying Dutchman, and something popped up, and I'm like, oh, well, what's this? And the only Lego set called the Flying Dutchman is from Lego SpongeBob. So if you wanted a Lego Flying Dutchman, it's very tiny. It's 241 pieces.
No, actually, looking for the Davy Jones one. So
Yeah, yeah, no. Bit of a different scale and theme.
I think I only have one SpongeBob set, which is the pineapple at the bottom of the sea,
Hmm.
which I bought it because it was just very cheap and the pieces were cool because I've never seen SpongeBob before. So
Yeah, I didn't grow up watching it, so it's not something I'm familiar with. But all right. In that case, we have one more question. And this is, of course, from Kevin A. Hinkle. And his question is, Christian, can you speak at all to some of your early involvement in the founding of the recognized communities across South America, including ChileLUG, LUG Peru, and LUG Brazil, them being the first three groups in South America, making you a founding father of the Latin American AFOL community?
that's a huge title. Thank you, Kevin. Well, yeah, I kind of mentioned something like that, but it's not something that I like to take credit for. But yes, when we've had ChileLUG recognized, it was really tough for us to get information because the closest lug was Brazil, as I mentioned, and Wagner, who was their ambassador at the time, did not speak much English, so it was hard to communicate. And when I went there, he finally gave me the email to James Fowles, so I could contact James directly, and
Mm-hmm.
then we could become recognized. And when we finally got to be recognized, I was like, okay, this was really hard, and it's not supposed to be as hard. So I started reaching all these small communities throughout Latin America, Colombia, Peru, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and whenever I found a group, I would go like, okay, who's in charge here? And hello, my name is Christian. I represent ChileLUG, which is a recognized lug for the Lego group. Would you be interested in becoming an ambassador and have contact with the Lego group, etc., etc.? So when I would find this person, I would contact them to Kevin because when James left the position, Kevin assumed the community manager for America, and that way I would make things a bit easier for other lugs throughout Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, they changed the Lego Ambassador Network as it was back at that time, and they created what's now the new Lego Ambassador Network, and that was made the information more accessible to people. So that was easier. And nowadays you see more communities throughout Latin America, so it's much easier for them to contact someone and know what a log is, why would one would like to be recognized, and what one could or should do to be able to be recognized. So that's pretty awesome. We did made a change, and Kevin also made it very easily because he's such a great guy. Because people would contact him, and he will really be really awesome with all these other ambassadors throughout America. So it was just great.
Well, I think that's a really perfect question and answer to kind of round things out. It started with learning about our bricks becoming a recognized Lego fan media, about ChileLUG becoming a Lego user group, and I think that's kind of a good question to kind of end things on, and that's a really in-depth and as usual fascinating answer. It's incredibly interesting to see how this all kind of became a reality, and one thing led to another and helped grow across several different countries and help all of these different Lego user groups and all these different people come together for the hobby. And I think that's a good way to kind of to round everything out. And Christian, do you have anything that you would
Well,
like
that's
to?
something.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Please go ahead.
that's something I learned from the master himself, Kevin Hinkle, the sense of community. So I just try to do my best from what he teaches us. So what can I say? Thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree because Kevin is. I feel that whenever I think of someone who is so well versed in the community and people, Kevin's always the first person that comes to mind. It seems like he
Yep.
knows everyone, and it's always just so impressive how.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
yeah, Kevin. Sorry. No. I've got Kevin on the mind. All right, Christian.
Christian.
Is there anything that you'd like to say? Heck, English or Spanish to anyone in the Lego community that you'd like to impart upon them and possibly help inspire them to get involved in the community wherever they may be.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Eljay, for this opportunity. And to any Lego fan who's there, I think if you think about building a community or a Lego fan media or anything, it's just like playing with Lego. When you play with Lego, you can't do things wrong. You maybe don't get things the way you want them to look at the first time, but you can always take the pieces apart and rebuild until you get it. So I think that concept you should really take it and not only use it to mock building, but through life itself. And that's how I've been able to do so many things, like having a YouTube channel, um, building mocks, building communities, building different things. Because in a world that we live today, having people who actually take their time to build something, whatever, it's just what we need to make this a better world. Once I was asked to decorate the windows of a Lego store here in Santiago, and they asked me to make a phrase, and I came up with the phrase. I will say it in English, of course. When I play Lego with my daughter, I think I'm making this a better world. And I think that kind of sums up everything. People who play with Lego don't have time to think stupid things, so they make this a better world. So I think that's it. Well, and I finish every one of my videos with a catchphrase. So I'm gonna say it in English and Spanish, just for the record.
Mhm.
Mientras tanto, sigan construyendo, which means, meanwhile, keep building. And thank you, LJ.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you, Christian, for taking the time and being here and discussing this with me. I feel like I've learned so much about everything that you've been involved in and everything that has gone on in the Latin American community. It's just absolutely fascinating. Is there anywhere specifically you'd like people to follow you on any kind of social media or any YouTube channel?
Yeah. Well, you can look for my YouTube channel, which is r bricks or r/bricks or something. And you can also follow me on Instagram, which is Chris_Breinbauer. And regarding my videos, which are in Spanish, my producer was talking to me yesterday, and we might be the news show, which is like 4 or 5 minutes long. We'll probably be shooting it in Spanish and in English the next week. So we're going to try and experiment on that. So if people would like to take a look at it and see what we're doing, we're going to give it a try in a different language too, so we can reach more people. So keep tuned.
That's fantastic. All right, well, in that case, those will all be in the description below. I highly, highly recommend checking it out. The speed builds are always fun if you do not speak Spanish. However, if you do, again, I cannot recommend the news videos enough. It's really fun to watch. So I highly recommend checking all that out. It'll be in the description below. All right.
Thank you.
I think that is a good place to kind of end things. Again, Christian, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No, thank you.
All right, and with that, thank all of you for listening this week to the Eljay Johnsen Show. Just as a reminder, this show airs every single weekend, every Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you have any questions over the week, make sure to head on over to email at ljjohnson@gmail.com. Remember, that's JOHNSEN. And if you want updates to the show and guest announcements every single Tuesday, head on over to Twitter at the Eljay Johnsen. So thank you all so very much for listening, be it live or the recorded version, and we will see you all another time. Have a wonderful day.